Divine Thought by Papa. In order to attain to the supreme blessedness of life, namely the realization of God, we have to surcharge our thought with the idea of God. God must take possession of our mind until our mind is no longer there as such, and God alone is. Until this is done, the aspirant must employ every means possible to control the mind and its activities so that the thought of God alone should rule in it. This thought must sink deep into the mind, transforming its fickle, restless, impure nature into the very spirit of joy, purity, and peace. The world is hungering for this great ideal of happiness and peace. Ramdas's experience when he was flitting from village to village, from town to town, in the blessed land of Saints Maharashtra, he observed not only the intensity or keenness of spiritual hunger among thousands of people there who came to see him, but he also discovered that many of them, whatever the external circumstances, were drinking deep at the fountain of eternal joy. The chief condition needed for realizing this state is unceasing hunger or uninterrupted and unbroken aspiration for the immortal. Seeking should be there. Unceasing hunger or uninterrupted and unbroken aspiration. The easiest means to make the mind dwell in the idea of God is to constantly reiterate mentally or vocally the name of God. Such a recitation of the name should of course be accompanied by implicit faith in the efficacy of the name and intense love for the immortal ideal which the name represents. Namely, the Supreme Reality who is absolute existence, consciousness and bliss, and who is seated in the hearts of us all. Papa never forgets to bring in this dimension, not merely chanting, which we have not taken note of. The easiest means to make the mind dwell in the idea of God is to constantly reiterate mentally or vocally the name of God. Such a recitation of the name should of course be accompanied by implicit faith in the efficacy of the name and intense love for the immortal ideal which the name represents. Namely, the Supreme Reality who is absolute existence, consciousness and bliss, and who is seated in the hearts of us all. When thus the mind is completely absorbed in the divine idea, a stage is reached when the individual or physical consciousness is transmuted into the universal and ever blissful consciousness. That is freeing ourselves from the me and mind. This is all right. Everybody wishes to possess this hunger, this keen aspiration which will bring him or her the experience of divinity, but the complaint is that such a state does not come even when one wishes for it. How then could this burning desire for the attainment of absolute bliss be generated? Just as an uneducated man or a poor man would evince An ardent wish to be literate man or a rich man, when he comes in association with a learned person or a wealthy person, so also when an ignorant, bound and sorrow-stricken soul comes in contact with an illumined, liberated, all blissful person, the former, by such contact, is fired with a zeal to become also like the latter. Hence, the society of saints has been held as the most important factor in the spiritual evolution of the soul. The saints not only awaken the ignorant souls and create in them a thirst for self-realization, but also infuse into them, by their blessings, the needed spiritual strength to battle against the forces that confront the aspirant in his march towards this goal of supreme beatitude. In order to know what our actual facial features, we have to look into the mirror. Similarly, if we wish to get a glimpse of our real and immortal life, we can do so only when we are in the company of saints. Saints are verily the redeemers of fallen souls. It is by their power alone the mind that runs in pursuit of transient pleasures can be made to concentrate its attention upon the eternal, changeless, blissful, indwelling reality. When thus the mind is permeated through and through with the imperishable idea of God, man attains the supreme goal of life. God realization does bring about not only the divinization of the internal life of man, but also of all his external life and activities. Hari Om, please sit down, sit down. Chair can be brought. He beholds all beings and things as the illumined expressions of the one all-pervading divinity. Satsang awakens the human soul and fills his thought with the divine light and joy and grants him the knowledge of the immortal self, which in its turn confers upon the devotee the comprehensive knowledge of God in all his aspects. Hunger for God and fiery aspiration to realize Him. Easy way to get reminded is to chant His name. Along with this name, chanting of the name, we keep on reiterating to ourselves that we are chanting the name of one who is seated in everybody's heart, whose nature is existence, knowledge, bliss.
Swamiji, how can we get fiery aspiration?
That's why he said when you are before the illumined soul,
Inspired by company of the saints.
Then there is a tendency to become like him. So we try to go through the biographical sketches of that master as days go by. What all he did, what can be done by us. And some control is necessary. Control on the senses, control on the thought. Because the fiery aspiration is not there because our interest or love for other objects are more.
This is a prerequisite. Prerequisite. Getting the intense.
Yeah. So some exercise is controlled on our senses. Seeing, hearing, smelling, eating, touching. These are all the 5 avenues through which our inner power is going out. And they get stuck there. with the result our love for the eternal gets diluted. So he is comparing, an uneducated man or a poor man, when he gets in touch with an educated man or a wealthy man, automatically there is a tendency to become more learned, to become more wealthy. Similarly, when we are before a saint and when we are inspired, the first thought is how to raise myself to his level. Shama. So Nama chanting should be accompanied by it. When he says Nama is the link between us and him, every time when we chant, we are asking ourselves, testing ourselves, finding out for ourselves whether the link has been established. It's a beautiful word. Link. Whether the chanting is going on without linking. Without linking. Linking with what? The indwelling and all-pervading reality. Initially the clarity will not come, it will be at the thought level. But slowly the watching the thought will come. And he is there, the life force, existence, he is there, the consciousness, he is there, the bliss, Purna.